I think I got a good video for you today discussing hot start issues. So me and Andrew have been hanging out here talking, and I was like, you know what, let's grab the camera and talk about this. So I think this may help some of the newcomers out. I think this may help some of the newcomers out. If you're new to the Fox game, this is somewhat of a known problem. So Andrew's going to go ahead and start his car up, and we're going to show you what it should sound like when it starts up, and then we're going to show you a common hot start issue. All right, so as you can hear, that started fairly normal. The car still does drag a little bit. That's fairly normal right there. Now, Andrew's starter may be starting to get a little bit weak. That happens. That is a common problem. But first off, I want to show you guys the difference in timing and how it affects these cars. And there's also another issue that I want to bring to your attention that could be causing a slow start, and it has nothing to do with timing or a bad starter. So all we're going to do now is loosen what we've already done. We just set the timing on the car, so we're going to jack it all up just for you guys, and we're going to bump this thing up. You see, I didn't have to move it much, and I think that may be enough to cause a slow start, or possibly even a dragging start, or a no start, I should say. All right, so as you can tell, it was a little bit slow to start, but we're going to take it to the next level here. Now, yeah, we're going to go ahead and just tear Andrew's motor to pieces here. It's okay, he don't mind. Yeah, it's for YouTube, so it's okay. We're not going to go too aggressive on this because obviously we don't want to cause any major issues, but this car should become harder to start. Okay, so you get our point here. Now, this is where things become a little more pronounced. And Andrew, we'll set your timer back in a minute. But this is where things become a little more pronounced. When you have a weak starter, or when your car is running a little warmer than normal, that's where things start to matter. When you start to heat soak a car, a set of long tubes, that's another good example. Long tubes cause a lot of heat, put a lot of heat on your starter down there. So, more timing means the engine's having to work a little harder to start the car. And once you start heat soaking these starters, it becomes more of an issue, becomes more pronounced. So,
door squeaking.
Andrew's over here working on his door. So I just wanted to share that little tidbit of information with you about the timing, because it does matter. And I promise you, once you run this car up and down the road a few times, there's a good chance it's not even going to want to start with that high of a timing in it. So also your valves are going to rattle and everything else. So my recommendations for you guys is anywhere from 10 to 14 degrees. Now, hear me out on this. Not all cars like 14 degrees of timing. I know we've all heard that, and that's the number that typically gets put out there. But especially an older car that has a lot of carbon buildup, I've mentioned before, also creates hot spots in the combustion chamber, which causes pre-detonation. So anytime that you're adding timing to that, you're adding to the problem. So you're going to get pre-detonation, if you will, with that. So be mindful of that. Somewhere around 10 to 12 degrees is usually pretty spot on with these cars whenever you do that. Another thing that I want to mention is your ground. That is probably typically the biggest culprit to a slow start on your car. So Andrew's car is not double grounded. So what does that mean? Well, you have your original ground that comes off and goes down to your engine block here. It goes down and hooks to your engine block. That's usually pretty good. That's what Ford did, and it works all right. Every car that I get, though, I go ahead and add another ground wire. You can buy them at AutoZone. They just slip on right here, bring it down and attach it somewhere else to the block. That really helps with the current draw, okay? This thing has to have a good ground to be able to start properly. So double ground your car, and that could fix the problem, or at least help. So let's go over here and look at the Retro Fox, and I'll show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. All right, so right here you can see that we have a double ground. So this connection is coming off and going around and is grounded here. Now, both of my connections, this connection coming out here and this connection, are both hooked up right here on one spot, and that's perfectly fine. So like I said, if you have a weak starter, that could be causing problems for you. An old starter, whatever. Long tube headers are going to add to the problem, and also the grounding situation, and then timing. Now, what can you do to combat this? Well, if you got long tube headers, you can always wrap your starter that tends to work pretty good. You want to wrap it with something that's reflective though, to kind of reflect the heat, because you don't want it to soak into it and now be trapped and can't get out. So that's always a good option for you there. Also, if your car is running hot, if you're having an issue and your car is running warmer than normal, that can put extra strain on your starter as well. So be mindful of that. It may not be any of these problems. It very well could be the fact that your car is just too hot. The gauges in these cars don't always work right. They're not super accurate, so be mindful of that.
I'm punishing her in these cars.
Oh yeah, y'all racing? Let's go ahead and get this timing set back on this car, and if you guys want to, if you're curious, I'll go ahead and show you real quick like how to set your timing. I know most of you already know this, so you can go ahead and dog off on this video if you want to, but we'll go ahead and set the timing on this car, finish this video up. Huh? Oh yeah? Okay. The first thing is you're going to want to pull this little plug out, the peel here, and obviously, you know, loosen your distributor. Typically I wouldn't loosen it this much, but Andrew's going to be right here so we can tighten it back down. So keep your distributor a little snug, but loosen it up. Pay attention to the flow right here. See this arrow? The fire comes out this way, so you want the arrow pointing in that direction. Clip it on your number one, then just come over here, positive, positive, negative, and negative. If you have one of these, make sure it's zeroed out. What we're going to do is slowly turn the distributor until we reach the timing mark we want. All right, go ahead. All right, so we're on about 11 degrees, 12 degrees. Gonna snug this thing back up. Take it again. Take it again. There we go. All right, that's it, guys. Go ahead and lock it down. You always want to check it again though, because as you're tightening your distributor, it can move some. All right, guys, that's it. That's how you check your timing on your car. That's how you set it. Now, sometimes you're not going to be able to read the marks on the harmonic balancer. I suggest the best thing to do is just get under the car with the jack, find the number that you want on the balancer while the engine is off, mark it with something, maybe white paint or something like that, and then go ahead and start the car up, and then you can find that mark a little bit easier. But that's it. We're gonna go ahead and wrap this one up. I hope it helps somebody, and as always, thanks for watching.